So you guys know that I recently hauled the VIDA LOCA palette, VIDA LOCA palette from KVD, and I wanted to come and give you guys quickly my first impressions on it. We already went through the swatches at the beginning of this video, so you saw what they all swatch like. So now I can just tell you what I think about it so far, and then I'm going to come back with a video giving you my final thoughts. I'm going to try to get those final thoughts up within a week, because I know a lot of people may be purchasing this palette. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure I get the final thoughts up there for you guys, because I kind of have my final thoughts on this palette already, but right now I'm just going to give you the first impressions. Even though I've already used this palette twice, this is still what I think about it initially. I still have not used it enough outside to see its wear, so I'm going to come back and do some of that for you guys on my final thoughts, let you know how it wore. So let's go ahead and talk about it. As you guys know, this is a holiday palette from KVD. This is what it looks like, the cover. She wanted this palette to resemble a record, so she has it to where you slide out the palette like this, and you have 24 shades. In the middle circle you have all neutrals, and on the outside you have some beautiful colors that are gorgeous. So my first impressions on this palette is when I went to use it, the shadows are a bit powdery, but they are very soft, so they're very blendable. In here you only get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 shimmers, but they're not really shimmery, but you can see that they're not totally matte. What I mean by that is like the color Legend. Legend is sort of shimmery, if I can show you here. Excuse the swatches I still have. Mostly a matte palette. Alright, so they're kind of powdery. They do kind of get around the palette, but that's fine when you're talking about a matte shade. It's not going to be 100% smooth. As far as the pigment, they are very true. I am wearing the palette right now. I'm wearing the colors Harpsichord right here, and I'm wearing some of Analogue, a bit of Vox, and in my under my brow to highlight, I am wearing Legend, which is now my favorite color. It's such a gorgeous yellow gold. I love it. Okay, so let me just go quickly so we won't be here all day. Basically, oh, I just looked at Echo in the light. Oh, that is so pretty. It's like a periwinkle blue, but it has some flecks of pink in it. What I feel about this palette is, I'm just gonna be honest, I really think that you could skip this palette right now, because to me the middle colors are just like the basic Naked palette, the little basics palette right there. And I feel like all of these colors here on this side are just like the Electric palette from Urban Decay. If you already own that palette, then this palette probably won't do you any good, and I do own that palette. I feel like I have dupes for all of these colors within my other palettes. There are a few colors here that I don't have dupes for, like the Harpsichord and the Rewind and Destroyer. These three colors here, I don't really have any colors that resemble these, especially these three, like Analogue and Harpsichord and the berry color here. These three colors here, I do love that her yellow is very, very pigmented, as you can see. But I feel like the colors didn't last that long on my lids. I'm going out, folks. I feel like they didn't last as long as I wanted them to. I did a makeup look the other day, and it was like 2 or 3 hours later, and it looked like it was fading. The colors weren't as vibrant anymore. I feel like when I used the yellow, it just didn't stay. Again, I am a dark-skinned person, so on someone who's Caucasian or very light-skinned, these colors may stay. But for me, they just disappeared after a few hours, and I've never had that happen. There is one thing though, I did use the Urban Decay primer and not my normal MAC Painterly, which is what I use on all my eyeshadows. So I wanted them to blend really well, and I noticed that putting on Painterly kind of leaves my lids dry because I'm already dry skinned. So I wanted to try something that would be a little bit more thinner, and I knew that the Urban Decay would be a little thinner. But I think maybe it didn't hold my shadow as well. So today I did make sure that I used the Painterly. That way I can come to you guys in my final thoughts and let you guys know if this color lasted for a while on my lids. I find that the colors are pretty easy to blend. They're gorgeous. I just don't feel like it's something that unique if you already have, like I said, the Urban Decay palette. I also have the Vice 4, which some of these colors are similar to in there. Someone asked me below if I would prefer the Vice 4. I think it may have been Misha Loves Beauty. I think she asked me, do I prefer the Vice 4 or do I prefer the KVD palette? And I didn't have an answer, so I didn't answer her then. But I'm going to answer her now. I pretty much, if I were you, would go with the Vice 4 palette. Though I have my reserves and my opinion about that palette, I really do feel like that palette is going to give you more looks than this one. Let me rewind it. This palette is going to be easy to use by itself because it has so many transition colors. If you wanted to just grab this palette, you could mix and match these colors here. If you need a little bit more warmer, like these colors here are not good for my lid for transitioning. So I mixed a little bit of this in with this darker color and a little bit of the orange. This is a palette, and a lot of times we think that we need to just use one single shadow for each part of the eye, when you actually can put these together and blend together like an artist, because that's what this is. This is a makeup palette. You can mix and match and customize colors. So I would have said I would go for the Vice 4, but I'm going to retract that, and I'm going to say that this is going to be the best purchase, the best bang for your buck, because you're going to get 24 shades. On top of that, they are easy to blend. You're going to have so many more mattes than you will. The Urban Decay palette, the Vice 4, just has not enough mattes at all. And I'm not a matte girl, but I need mattes to be able to transition my shadows into the shimmer. So I feel like with this look, you have your basics right in the middle, so you're going to be able to create some gorgeous looks, and you have these colors on the outside for the lid. This looks like a very summertime palette, but it's really not, because there's so many beautiful oranges and there's so many gorgeous berry colors in here, and there's purples that you can use and darken it and make it for fall appropriate looks. Me personally, I live in Florida, so I can put on whatever I want to and still look appropriate for the time. I feel like you have so many gorgeous dark blues. I am going to say that this palette is worth $59 because you have so many looks. My Vice 4, when I grab it, I cannot make a single look from that palette. I have to bring in a different palette and then work with that one. So my first impression of this palette is, if you don't have these colors dupable, if you don't have the Naked Basics or any of the Naked palettes, and if you don't have the electric palette, then I feel like this is a great purchase. But if you have all these colors already, I feel like you can skip this one. There's other palettes that I want to try that's from the holiday collection, like the Marc Jacobs palette that's out. It's $99, but you have so many pretty shades in it that I do want to try that palette. But I mean, for 60 bucks, you do have a lot of different choices in here. So I'm going to give this palette, as far as ranking, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I feel like the colors, some of them are a little bit choppy, but the rest of them are very blendable. I feel like they don't last as long as I would want them to, no matter what primer I had on. Even if I put them on without a primer, they should last, because you shouldn't have to depend on a primer to make your eyeshadows last. So that is my first impressions on the Kat Von D Mi Vida Loca palette, and I will talk to you guys in the next first impressions video, which I will be doing on a lot of products. I have one coming up on the makeup artist products, the MUA products, if you guys are interested in seeing that one, and I will talk to you guys later.